Welcome to Mind Matters with Sandy and Kathleen with a twist, with a coronavirus twist. We are using Zoom to do our podcast at the moment. Welcome, Sandy.
Thanks, Kath. It's
I
nice
feel like this is a little bit like the Brady Bunch, where we can look, that way.
Oh, we can look at each other going, hi, Kath. I know, but then we've got to keep one eye on the screen. It's degree of difficulty, but we could have our own Olympics. Degree of difficulty is going to be.
All of this has a degree of difficulty. Well, obviously, I've decided to leave Earth at this point in time just to avoid this virus and all the horrors that go with it. So I'm just up here in outer space. But no, we're doing this. Obviously we can't be in the same space at the moment because I've got a horrendous, I think possibly the flu we've had go through our house, not coronavirus. A bit early for that. So Sandy and I have not been able to be together, so we're doing things via Zoom at the moment. We don't want you to miss out on our podcast information because we do have quite a following.
It may just be short because you told me, Kath, that it has to be in less than 10-minute blocks.
Probably
correct?
10 minutes is a good idea because we don't want too good of it. So they're going to be a little bit shorter. So we're going to talk today about mental health because obviously we're facing a world health crisis and there's so much information out there and we've seen panic. There's a lot of panic buying and panic. Every time somebody coughs, everybody run. Their focus is on survival and panic and there's a lot of unknown. So we just wanted to have a bit of a chat today about improving your mental health in these situations, especially with us facing that we're likely at some point to be in lockdown, if not self-imposed, but imposed by the government or the health organisation. So we thought we'd have a bit of a chat about that. There's lots that Sandy wants to talk about, so I might hand over to her and she can kick off with her chosen topic, and then I'll come back with some stuff about kids.
Okay, thanks, Anchorwoman. I just feel like we're definitely doing that at the moment.
When I say kids, I'm not talking about baby goats. I'm talking about children. I should say about dealing with the children in your life.
But if she could throw in baby goats, she would, I promise.
And goats, I would. I'd definitely look after you, goat.
She would. She would be going, now this is what you do. So some of the things that I've been working with clients, and recently too, obviously because the coronavirus is in Australia and people are in sort of I think discomfort is one of the better words.
It's a heightened state of awareness virtually, isn't it?
It really is, because it's not something that any of us have ever been encountered before. Not at this level. None of us have. I mean, I should imagine maybe, God, way back when our grandparents who were alive, there was stuff going through with.
I'd say Second World War. This is quite akin to the Second World War in that well, I say akin. I'd never like to compare things, but I would say this is from someone that studied what happened in society during the Second World War. I would say
levels. Yeah.
Yes, emotional levels, I would say this is very much akin to society, that what happened with society that was left at home during the war, in that there's people that were going to go off the war that you didn't know if they would come back, it wouldn't survive. There was issues with food, there was issues with jobs and ongoing employment and money and all those sorts.
And it was a different emotional state because war was man-made, whereas this is something that is it's not selective, it's not a country, it's not a race, it's not a religion. So it's it's a case where it affects everyone economically. But I was talking, what I want to really sort of hone in on a bit is so you can think about it differently, where you get a little bit of ownership about who you are in this space. That makes it a lot easier because I'm dealing with people in real time having some severe emotional reactions. So I need to bring in some very absolute immediate sort of things for people. So, but when you have, when you think about global thoughts and then personal thoughts, it's really important actually to be aware that, and I talk to some of my clients about, it's almost like the planet's sick. And, in sickness, sometimes when you get healthy, there's some really good things that happen. It actually brings you focus into what is important. So one of the things that in a global view, they're things that we can really do just about, and it's not about being panicked. It's about going, you know, I can turn this thought process into a positive. I get to spend time with my family. I get to focus on things that are important, even though it's a global issue, about community, about supporting each other. The importance of community is so downplayed in mental health as well. Like the thing that, you know, I've done, you know, mental health for suicide prevention, all this sort of stuff. And you don't need a therapist. Sometimes you need a community. You know that old saying of it takes a village to raise a child. It's the same as this. When we sit back and we feel supported, and you can give support, because it's just as important to feel that you're useful within that space.
Absolutely.
So
sorry, I was just going to say, I have a friend who is studying international business. She'll see this, she'll know who she is. And she was saying to me that her husband is very grateful that she's able to message me at 3 o'clock in the morning when she's read something on Twitter that's going on with this virus and not wake him up. So I'm doing my bit for him and his mental health by supporting her. So we're just doing all this research, and we're looking at statistics, and we're doing all sorts of things around the clock, because she's doing her master's in international business as we speak. So this is it's very important to her. It's very timely at the moment for her.
Yeah.
So we're, you know, she's not isolated.
No, and not only that, when we think about ourselves as a part of the global community, you know, they know that if we just reduce the amount of contact and things like that, and be sensible, not about, you know, going into full panic mode. The thing is that what happens is that the virus dies out and it doesn't infect it, so it actually dies out. So
it lessens the impact on the medical system as well. So the idea is that yeah, exactly. And I think this is where a lot of people are having trouble. There's a lot of anger. Because we've just had the Formula One Grand Prix cancelled here in Melbourne, and there's a lot of anger, and people, and you know, we're not going to have AFL, NRL games with people, and that affects Sandy sitting there.
Okay. So how I've talked to people about that is that if you think about when you go, and ad nauseum, we all would have seen it, where a plane's being cancelled and they're interviewing people at the airport going, oh, I'm going to miss my connecting flight and I'm going to do this. I've been in airports and had planes cancelled, and it is inconvenient, but I've always gone, oh, thank goodness they've found that, because I don't really want to be on that plane that drops out of the sky. I'm pleased that they've cancelled that flight. So it's about a thought process. Yep. It's about really becoming a more global thought, instead of being more selfish, I suppose. Because if you go, my impact on this could be a positive thing. So there's things that I can do that make this better.
That's
so
right.
You become a part of it, instead of turning around to, oh, you know, I don't get to see the cars, and you know, and I haven't run.
I would have loved to have been at the Grand Prix. I would have loved to have been at the Grand Prix. This, you know, it's the last year that that we're going to likely to have Holden badged vehicles go around in the supercars, and I would have loved to have been there and seen them out on the track. But unfortunately, it's just not going to be possible this year, and it's in Melbourne, or at this point they're talking about they may reschedule it. But I think
I was doing a walk for mental health.
Yeah, that's right. We've all got things. So, all of us have got something that we're missing out on.
And mine was all about charity, not about personal, I want to see, I want to do. It was about giving. I can't do that. I can do this in a different way. And so when you sit back and you go, say if it was just about the Grand Prix, instead of going, my loss, oh my God, this can't happen because of A, B, C, it's more a case of going, thank goodness they cancelled it, because it was such a high risk event.
And now we've got the opportunity that we may, I mean, I know someone who is is the nursing unit manager in an ICU at a hospital, and she said yesterday, I feel like I'm standing on the shore and I'm watching the tsunami coming. and because it is coming. And so hopefully in some way cancelling, or not in some way, definitely cancelling the Grand Prix and various other things, and all the little things that we're able to contribute might stop that tsunami being a tsunami, and it might be just a decent wave if we're lucky. And then we take all those pressures off the medical system.
But I want to change it to a positive thought, Kath.
Yeah, and it's I see that as a positive.
So if we move it into, you know, you go, oh, thank God they did that. Thank God that happened. So, and if you're talking to someone that's going, oh, you know, it's the last time I see the cars, or I like, you know, and you go, hey guys, you know, remember the, you know, aeroplane analogy? I'm really pleased they did that. And if you do it with heart so people can hear it, then it gives them a chance to have a different change of thought as well. So it's about creating an energy of thought about how good this can be. You know, about focusing of the things that you can do just on a small thing. Like Kath was talking about recipes she's sharing with her family, very interesting ones, but how they're still
things that nobody would eat. Things that,
but how they would sort of, you know, you start. So you do the global thought, then you start bringing it into what your community is, the old people around you that you might go, oh, you know, it might be nice if I drop, you know, something on their nice
toilet paper, some toilet paper to the neighbours.
I didn't want to go there,
yeah.
But you know, something on their doorstep. You know, they feel then, and what it does is it start bringing you take back to yourself, because by giving it makes you feel good and useful, and it creates this family community feeling that often is missed, and so then you feel useful and you go, oh, enforced time. I know I talked to my daughter last night and I said, oh, honey, we'll get to spend heaps more time together. And she said, Mum, I'm moving out. And I stopped.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, it's
building resilience, and it's building adaptability. I mean, I've got all sorts of things planned for this coming week. I've got 3 days worth of appointments. I don't know that any of those will particularly happen. But at the end of the day, if I can't get my 2 inches of regrowth taken care of, it's not the end of the world. It is not going to be the end of the world. It's not. It just means I have to put it off.
But it's a nice way of looking at spending time with your kids. And you go, and this is where, you know, I know that you were going to have a bit of a chat about kids and about going, this is great. We get to spend time, focused time together. And they go, oh, but I want to, and you go, that's all right, you know, that'll keep happening. And it doesn't become a drama. So
no, so my son has told me, he said he understands that he's 6.5, nearly 7. And he said to me, he said, as far as this coronavirus goes, I have nothing to worry about. And I said, no, so obviously he's been told that at school, because this came as soon as he came home from school. And I said, no, you don't have anything to worry about. I said, just means that it's likely you're going to spend a lot more time here with mummy playing. And so we've talked about, because obviously if anyone's like me, especially if you've got more than one small child at home, that it's a big impulse to think that you're going to have them in the house. You will not be going out anywhere for potentially anything up to 4 weeks. We don't know at this stage how long it's going to be. And I know the schools have made some provisions, and especially if you're in Victoria, they're going to roll out all sorts of online learning by the middle of next week. And I know we've got reading eggs and mathletics and things like that. So Charlie and I had a chat this morning, sat around the table and had a talk about how we're going to construct our days to fill them in, because I'm a bit concerned. Like if we don't have some type of program or some type, that things will just he'll get bored, and then he'll get frustrated, and then it'll just steamroll. It'll just go into this whole vortex of hell. So I said to him, we need to get up and still get.
But don't you think this is an opportunity often for parents that are very time strapped with their children?
Oh, to spend time with them. And
it gives it a huge view of refocus. This is what I mean, is this is about that global view of actually refocusing on the things that are important.
And that's what I've done. I've looked at what we can do at home here that we've needed to do as a family for a really long time. I'm trying to talk my partner into painting. But there's all sorts of things that I've gone, well, if we're here, we'll be constructive, we'll do things together. It's not a bad thing. I don't see, as much as it would normally stress me to be at home with a 6-year-old for 2 to 4 weeks, I'm looking at it like, no, we'll have a bit of a timetable, and we'll work out what we're going to do. And Charlie was then having his input into it as well. But she was saying, well, am I going to get playtime like I would at school? And I went, absolutely, that's what you're going to get. We'll work that out between us.
And as you know, I've got a 22-year-old, and I had to have a chat to her because my partner is more at high risk. He's got heart issues. And I was having to talk to my daughter, and she's, often, festivals and going out to gathers and all that sort of stuff. And I sort of said to her, you've got to really think outside of yourself now. So that brings it back into the home.
That's right.
But then it takes it out to the community. And I said, because right at the moment, you've got to think about the people that you're with and whether you need to go to those. She was going to a horse event today, and she sort of said, and I said, the reality is that would be low risk at the moment, especially down this area. I said, and those choices are up to you. I said, but look at your immediate, community. And I said, I'll let you make the decision. And it was really refreshing for her to go, no, I'm not going to do that. I will just, go outside and play with the horses and do other things. But it was nice to see that she could understand the bigger picture, because we think about often, teens and kids as being more selfish or self-centered. And when they're given the opportunity to express and do things in very different ways, they often do it. It's just divine. Absolutely encourage everyone to acknowledge people when they do that.
Well, Saturday night when I came down with this, disease, I knew immediately that I wouldn't be going near Jason. So in light of before we knew
I appreciate
coronavirus was here, my concern is because of how unwell I became, and thought, this is the flu. I just will not be going anywhere near Jason. So now Jason and I have had to resort to texting each other just to say hello, because Jason and I normally catch up for lunch or a cup of hot water and a tea.
Okay, and this just gets weird. Jason is my partner.
Jason's a gooey. But it's for the greater good, isn't there? Is no way that I would be compromising him in any way. And the panic that I went through, thinking that I may have even done that inadvertently because I'd been there on Saturday morning. So it is an all part. And then so where do I transfer that? Well, what do we need to do? We'll be here. But it doesn't mean that we're cut off, because look at what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah. And,
we're not cut off.
And as Kath said, there's, you could go into, a flat panic of going, oh my God, I've got all these days with my children, because we're so used to, being structured outside of that. And, for all of us in so many different ways, it gives us the opportunity to address things very differently. And I think that is a really nice opportunity. That's where you can adopt a very different headset. You go, I'm going to be, bang up against, this child or these 300 children that I've produced for X amount of days, instead of going, wow, we could create something really amazing. And, then they see that happening, and it sort of becomes different again.
That's where the organisation does come into it. Be prepared. It's like, be a girl guide. Be prepared on this. I think, yeah, if you go into it thinking that it's going to be all bad and nothing's going to turn out well, and the kids are going to fight with each other and they're going to get bored and they're going to have nothing to do, then that's probably what will happen. Sorry.
Google sites are things to do.
I was just going to say, so if you think that that's going to be an issue for you, now is the time to get out there and find things that you can do. Now, my friend, the international business student, tells me that due to the fact that they've been in lockdown for 2 months in China, if you Google ideas for Chinese children during lockdown, there are the most amazing things that you can do. They have come up with some fabulous, fabulous things to entertain kids that are relatively straightforward. And I would also suggest rotating toys and not getting everything out at once, and having some group time. And then, you know, you give the kids some attention. I know this with Charlie. If I give him some one-on-one time, he then is sick of me and he wants to go off and do something on his own. And then I get to do things on my own. So
And
I'm not seeing it as being a negative.
Yeah, and you could do something along the lines, even though we're coming into autumn, but you think about that is potentially we're going to have periods of more out and more in. You know, the importance of where food comes from. Are you going to have, you know, potentially a 3-month thing? So grab some carrots or some radishes or something like that. Anything that grows, then you bring in nature, and you've got to get outside. It might be, you know, just in their own backyard. It's just a nice thing to do as well. Then you've got, they realise time periods as well. Like you get that sort of thing coming through.
They can watch things grow. Charlie's loving watching the tomatoes grow. He won't ever eat them, but he's watching them grow. I would like you to see them ripen at this point. But that's exactly, I was thinking the same thing, that we will probably grow a few things in the backyard, because then that gives us some outdoor activity. So think about your day, break it up, enjoy the fact that you've got this time, that like Sandy said, if you've been time poor for years and the kids are always in childcare, and I drop them off at 7, I pick them up at 6, and this is your opportunity to do exactly what you've always wanted to do. Yes, it's full on, it's going to be 24/7, but you know, and if you're not coping, book an appointment, we'll talk to you. So yeah, so we should probably wrap it up there. This could be a very long video, but we'll be back with more of them. And again, if you've got suggestions on anything that you'd like to hear from us, by all means, suggest away, and we love your feedback. And we hope you're all doing well, and we hope you all continue to do well.
Absolutely.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day, people. Bye.
See you.